Welcome to my July book haul. I have a lot of really good books to share with you guys, some of which I've already read, some of which I'm very excited to read. So I have it separated today just in gifted, thrifted, and regular old purchased books. So why don't we just dive right in? I actually feel like I've been doing a really good job with purchasing less books and then reading a ton of books, which means I'm slowly whittling away my TBR shelf. So let's start with the gifted books. I actually did a short in June for this, but my patron and subscriber Carly sent me this cute little bird notebook. It's adorable. I love it. I love birds. Very excited about that. Already have a plan for this. And as well, she sent me the book Aliferous, which I ended up reading in June. Talked about it in my June wrap up, but it's a collection of short stories, fairy tale retellings, poetry that all have something to do with birds. And a lot of her short stories in here have to do, or have some slight gothic elements. I mean, that's kind of the fairy tale vibes type thing, but I really enjoyed this collection. And if you guys are joining in with the Read Your Bookshelf Challenge for July, you're supposed to read a short story collection, so this is definitely an option. Another book I got gifted to me is The Tales of Alexandria Steckler. This is book 1, The Locket by Tierra J. Brown. The author sent this to me, and I am really excited to read this. I've been very picky on which books I allow authors to send to me lately, and this one sounded really good. 15-year-old Alexandria Steckler lives a sheltered life. Sick of spending days in her underground home, she longs to be part of the outside world, a world she has long been denied. However, secrets unfold as she finds herself thrust from her home and into a foreign world plagued by war between psychics like herself and magical sorcerers. Forced to hide her identity lest she be captured or killed, or worse. Will Alex make it home safely, or will someone else get to her first? I'm curious to read where this story goes. Also, now that we moved to Edmonton, I got to do a meetup with a fellow booktuber, which was a lot of fun. Emily from Emily on a Whim. I'll leave it linked below. She made me this cute little bookmark, and if you follow her on Instagram, she has been making these adorable crocheted dragons and unicorns, and I can't crochet, but I can appreciate it when people do. Definitely, if you enjoy the fiber crafts, I highly recommend following her on YouTube and Instagram. And then 2 more books that were gifted as we were leaving our church, saying goodbye to everyone. One of the people that I've bonded with over books in my church, there are a few which I appreciate. She has gifted us, me and Jared, some books, and one of them is Openness Unhindered by Rosaria Butterfield. Now, I didn't realize that this one is actually she's known for The Gospel Comes with a House Key, and I've read that one, but this one was published in 2015, so it's even older, I believe. I don't remember when her other one was published, but I look forward to reading that. And then she also gave us A Year with C.S. Lewis, daily readings from his classic works. And I haven't started this yet, but I feel like it would be really good. It would have been good if I would have got it 9 months ago when I started having C.S. Lewis as my literary mentor for my DIY literature degree, but I can still continue with him for longer, so definitely plan on digging into that. Then I went to a library sale shortly after we moved here. I did a video on Patreon sharing a bit more about that, giving some peeks into it. It was crazy busy. I was amazed. I found 2 books. I got The Always War by Margaret Peterson Haddix. I don't actually know anything about it, but I do know that I enjoy the uniqueness that she brings to her stories. So this one says, for as long as Tessa can remember, her country has been at war. When local golden boy Gideon is awarded a medal for courage, it's a rare bright spot for everyone in Tessa's town. Until Gideon refuses the award, claims he was a coward, and runs away. Tessa is bewildered and can't help but follow Gideon to find the truth. But Tessa is in for more than she bargained for. Before she knows it, she is stowed away on a rogue airplane headed for enemy territory. But all that pales when she discovers a shocking truth that rocks the foundation of everything she's ever believed. A truth that could change the world. Is Tessa brave enough to bring it into the light? And I feel like her books, they're like usually middle grade, upper middle grade, lower YA. They're super short, but I don't know, she puts a lot in there, so I'd never heard of that one, but I want to read it. Then, I don't know if this one's going to be any good, but I couldn't leave this there. We actually went the day that it was a box for $10, so I paid $10 and I got these books, my daughter got a couple books, and we bought a bunch of movies. I shared the full haul over on my Patreon for that video, but I found Daphne du Maurier's Golden Lads, Sir Francis Bacon, Anthony Bacon, and their friends. I don't know if this will be any good, if I will actually read it, but it was pretty much just free, so I thought I would grab it. I feel like it might be quite boring, but I'll give it a try. And the last stack of books here is from a book outlet. I share every time I send a newsletter, which has been kind of iffy. If you guys are not part of my newsletter, it's always linked in the description. I share all sorts of different things, books I'm reading, different bookish things I'm finding across the internet, and then I always share a few books that are on Book Outlet. I really like their site because it gives me that like thrill of the hunt like thrifting does, because they sell overstock books, so they don't always have the same selection, and sometimes I can find a book I've been looking for at a really great price. And so I'm trying to send that out like every week or every other week now, and I've gotten into a bit of a rhythm. Took a little bit of time off when we moved, but I think we're getting back into the swing of things. So I got a stack of books from there, and I did a really good job of sticking with books that I'm very excited about. So I found Mrs. Polifax and the Lion Killer. This is part of the Mrs. Polifax series. I don't know what book number this one is, but I know that I've just been collecting all of them so I can read through the entire series, and I've managed to pick up a few of these books from there. This cover is, it doesn't make the series look that interesting, but believe me, it is. Mrs. Polifax decided at the age of 60 that she wanted to become a spy, so she goes to the CIA building and kind of accidentally becomes one, and her adventures are fun. I enjoy spending time with her, and I just want to read all of these books and enjoy them all. I think it would be better if I got the new covers. They're much more marketable, but hey, I got this for like $2 or $3, very cheap. Then a series that I want to finish. There is going to be a video coming up at some point sharing me attempting to finish some series, because my 11-year-old has been getting on my case, because I have a tendency to just read the first book in a series. This one is just a duology. This is The Queen's Resistance, so it's the sequel to The Queen's Rising. This is by Rebecca Ross. I really enjoyed The Queen's Rising when I read it like a year ago, and it'd been on my shelves for a while, and I wasn't sure if the second book was going to be as good, if I should just like mentally leave it as a standalone, but I've heard really good feedback from you guys, so I went ahead and got book 2. And now that it's been like a year, I kind of forget where the series was going, but this is in a world where the girls go to school. I'm assuming the boys do too, I don't remember. They go to school for different things. You're supposed to kind of like train in one area for 7 years, and our main character flitted around from each house. So there's like knowledge and art, and I don't remember all of them. You're supposed to like, pick one and stick with it, and for some reason she flitted between each one before landing on knowledge, I think. And a lot happens in the first book. I don't even remember how it ends, so I'll have to like read a summary of that one before picking up this one. I don't even want to read the back to you guys because I'm assuming it's gonna have spoilers. I did enjoy that one, so about time I actually finished the series. Okay, this is a nonfiction. I got The Dyslexic Advantage, Unlocking the Hidden Potential of the Dyslexic Brain. This is for homeschooling. I have 1 or 2 kids, that struggle with dyslexia, and I got the revised and updated edition. This book, I started the ebook, suck at reading ebooks, and is all about finding, it's like dyslexia is not necessarily a negative, it's just finding the way the brain works and making that work for you. So there's like different careers and different ways that people that are dyslexic really thrive and excel in, and so it's just finding those ways and taking advantage of that. And so this is a bit beastly. It feels bigger than 400 pages, but definitely going to be reading that to help with my children. And I recently started a series, The Remnant Chronicles, and Book Outlet had Morrigan, the beginnings of the Remnant universe. So this is book 0.5. Oh, and it's cool. It's got like pictures and floral edges and interesting. Okay, so I think this is like, yeah, how the world began. I don't really know. I read book 1, haven't finished the series. So it's a bit of a theme, but this is a fantasy series. Before borders were drawn, before treaties were signed, before wars were waged anew, before the great kingdoms of the remnant were even born, when the world of old was only a hazy slate of memory told in story and legend, a girl and her family fought to survive. So it's quite short and it has pictures. Okay, and this is an author that you don't see on Book Outlet very often, and I love these editions of this series. Brandon Sanderson's The Lost Metal. This is Wax and Wayne book 4. I've read book 1. Need to continue the series. I think I'm missing book... I feel like I don't own book 2. Maybe I do. But I own the pocket book, very small paperback kind of editions. It's the mass market paperback. That's what I own. These ones are so much better. And I want to see if maybe they'll put some other ones on Book Outlet, some of the other ones in the series, so I can read them from here. So in this fantasy world Sanderson has created, people have powers based on different metals. You can ingest different metals and do different things. It's very complicated to explain, but it makes sense when he explains it in his books. So there's Mistborn Era 1, which I read my first year of booktube. That is kind of, I don't even know when that's set, but this Era 2 is set like Wild West times. Very interesting. And I know he's writing Era 3, which I think is set in the 80s. Fascinating. Very stoked to own this though. And the last book, this is a book in a series I haven't even started, and I think it's like book 2 in a series, but I feel confident I'm going to enjoy this series. So I decided to grab book 2, even though I haven't read or don't own book 1. This is Arch Enemies. So I think the first book is Renegades. Yes. So this is by Marissa Meyer. She's the author of The Lunar Chronicles, Cinder, Scarlet, Cress, Winter. I really enjoyed those, and I've heard really good things about this series. I don't really want to read the summary because this is book 2, and I know I've read like what the series is about before. Completely forget, and that's okay with me. I like not knowing, so I'll either have to get book 1 from the library or keep an eye on Book Outlet for when they have it in stock there and grab it, because I definitely want to read the series. But should I start more series now, or should I try to finish some that I've already started? Oh, you know, the struggles are real. Okay, so that is all for my book haul. I would love to hear if there's like books on here you guys are curious about, books on here you've loved before. What should I read first? Let's just talk about all the books in the comments, and also let me know some great finds that you've purchased lately.